social media, Instagram, it's a minefield of shredded physiques, six-pack abs, people dieting year round, staying in shape year round, and portraying that they've got this perfect physique in this perfect routine year round. Now, the three things that you're probably wondering what I'm on about is going to be sacrifice, it's going to be consistency, and it's going to be extreme hunger. Now, the first one that we're going to cover is sacrifice. So what do I mean by sacrifice? I mean, you are going to have to say no to things. You're going to have discipline, and you're going to have to realize that meals out probably ain't going to be a thing for a short space of time. Now, that doesn't mean that everyone has to have no meals out. However, if your goal is to get absolutely shredded, you can't necessarily do that whilst eating out. It's hard. You can't just go out for a random meal and expect that to help you get shredded. If anything, banking your calories and then saving calories for the meal is just going to make your hunger worse. It's going to drive your appetite through the roof and you're going to feel like shit. So the one thing that I will say to people is the leaner you get, the more shredded you get, the more sacrifice you've got to make, the more no's you've got to say to people. And that isn't what a lot of people are willing to do. It's never going to be easy saying no. It's never going to be easy not going out for meals for a period of time, especially if that's what your friendship group does, your family wants to do, or you've got an occasion coming up. But that is a sacrifice that you've got to make to be able to truly get shredded. Now, to get a little bit leaner, to drop a bit of body fat, of course, you can still go out for meals. And that's where the sacrifice and the degree of sacrifice that you make is obviously going to be less than what it would be to get shredded. But there still needs to be, whatever you're doing, a level of restriction, a level of sacrifice. And I don't care what any fucker says, some sort of sacrifice needs to be made. The degree of sacrifice depends on your goal. But being shredded, meals out, when you get to the latter stages of a diet, aren't a thing. Next thing is going to be consistency. Now, consistency is one of those things where I feel like I struggled with for a long time. With food, with training, with cardio, and I looked for the quickest route to be able to get the result, which led me to burnout. So I was doing loads of cardio, loads of steps, eating as minimal as I fucking could and just burning out. When the reality is, it's not about doing it as fast as possible. It's not a race. It's about being the most consistent for a longer period of time. And adhering to the process sometimes comes down to being able to stick to it. Doing too much too soon allows you to probably get the result quicker if you can stick to it. However, puts you at more risk of losing muscle tissue, puts you at risk of having lower amounts of energy too early on, puts you at risk of training performance being sacrificed, which then again means that you could probably lose muscle tissue during that process. And most people can't stick to it for long enough. So if we're talking the rapid fat loss protocol, or we're talking protein and fat only, or we're talking just completely negating and getting rid of carbs, or doing loads of cardio, it won't work for a lot of people. A majority of people, unless the goal is to do it for a short stint of time to put you in a better position to grow. But if the goal is to get shredded and do it in a way where you can hold and maintain the most amount of muscle tissue and be adherent, then having a longer period of time to do that's probably the best protocol. There is less balance, there is more restriction, and there ain't no beating around the bush with that. No one ever gets shredded without any restriction. So despite this perfect life that people show you on and showcase you on social media, whether that's living in Dubai and looking all shredded year round, or whether that's just being in the sun and looking like they're having the best time, I'll be honest, there's a heavy level of restriction to look like that unless they're completely genetic freaks. And for them to look like that year round requires a heavy amount of sacrifice, which a majority of people aren't willing to put up with. And for the long term, and when it comes to holding a physique shredded for a long time, my opinion is, fuck that. I ain't doing that year round. I ain't doing that shit year round. I don't want to be holding a fucking shredded physique year round. So when people are saying, here's how I stay in shape year round, no, I don't want to be a fat cunt, but at the same time, I still want to, I don't want to be shredded. And some people love being lean and shredded year round. And I just feel like, as long as I'm getting stronger and bigger, and as long as I'm holding some sort of condition and I'm not getting too fat, that's happy days for me. Being shredded year round does not appeal to me. And then that carries over to the following point. The third point is going to be hunger. Now, if you want to get shredded, there is a serious level of hunger that you've never experienced. I grabbed a bag of lettuce and I was snacking on that shit like it was chocolate. And that ain't a joke. That ain't no joke. I was enjoying that lettuce like it was a bag of chockies. And that's what you've got to expect. Hunger is going to be extremely high. It's a level of disordered eating. Is it an eating disorder? No, because it's controlled, but it's a level of disordered eating, and sometimes it can get to the back end when you are shredded, where it does become a bit of an eating disorder. I was eating seasoning out of a pan, burnt to the bottom of the pan, yep, and sauces. I was scooping that shit out like it was gravy. And I have no regrets because I was fucking hungry at the time, but that's the level it gets to. And that's what people don't tend to talk about. It's that extreme level of hunger that is hard to deal with. You do wake up hungry, you go to bed hungry, you eat meals and then still feel hungry, you have less sleep because you're hungry. It's just part of the game when it comes to being shredded. Mentally, it can sometimes be like, fuck, I could do with a pizza. But the end goal is the most important bit, and that's why it's not about being shredded year round. And it is just, for me, it's always a short-term goal for a for an outcome. But then when I'm done, I'm done. And then it's time to start growing again. But some people aspire to have that shredded look because they see it on Instagram and they see people looking like it year round. And that's not really where you want to be. Sleep's poor, appetite's through the roof, hunger, you're never full. And all you're thinking about is food. You can't think about day-to-day tasks. You can't think about your relationship. You can't think about family time. You don't care. All you care about is your next meal. So the truth is, it's not all it's made out to be. But here's why everyone, I believe, should do it. They should try and get there at least once. And it's just because it's fucking hard work. It requires mental resilience. And this is an era where I feel like people are becoming soft as fuck. The confidence is at an all-time low. People, in terms of depressive rates and depression, is at an all-time high. And how people generally feel within themselves in terms of confidence is just genuinely through the floor. And I feel like doing something like that, it doesn't fix anything. It doesn't make you feel better, especially at the back end, because you do feel awful. But I feel like when you do stick to something and you do it right, it makes you feel different. The level of discipline that you've got to show yourself, that mental resilience that it builds up. For me, I just feel like it changed me as a person for the better. From a confidence standpoint, from a discipline standpoint. And I weren't a victim anymore. I weren't a victim of my own demise. And what I mean by that is all my excuses were always directed towards external situations rather than looking internally and going, I'm the problem. I'm the reason why I could never get a result. I'm the reason why I struggled to get anywhere with my physique for a long time. I was the problem. People love to blame other people and blame external situations just to look for that internal validation. Understanding and having that self-belief there to know that you can do certain things that are difficult. And when things do get hard, you don't throw in the towel or give in. And that's what I believe getting shredded does. It's just not a look that you should aspire to have year round, despite what people showcase on social media, which obviously does get more likes and does get more engagement, and people do love seeing that shit because it's like, wow. But that's the truth behind being shredded that not a lot of people talk about. 3 things that you should expect and why I do think that you should still try to get there, but it's not a look that you want to aspire to have year round. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, then make sure you subscribe, stick around for future videos, and I'll catch you in the next one.